But by design, I also recognize that a lot of those people aren't going to my page to see negativity. And so not just protecting myself or the people that work with me, but also the supporters. So I don't have the comments section.
Oh, honey, it's official. The gloves are off. Americans have finally dropped the polite smiles and are spilling the piping hot tea about Meghan Markle. And let me tell you, the things they're saying are explosive. Picture this. A commentator just straight up says what so many people have been whispering behind closed doors. No sugarcoating, no polite royal wording. She flat out declares, Meghan only got where she is because she slept with the spare and got knocked up. Let's be honest about it. Ooh, can you imagine the collective gasp across social media? It was like someone set off a firecracker in Buckingham Palace itself. But here's the twist. A lot of Americans aren't clutching their pearls in shock. They're nodding in agreement. And this isn't coming from some faceless trolls hiding behind cat avatars online. Oh no, this is mainstream media finally saying what millions have been thinking for years. The whole fairy tale fantasy that Meghan worked her way to the top through sheer grit and talent, yeah, that castle's crumbling faster than a sandcastle under a tidal wave. Because let's be real, she wasn't a Hollywood superstar. She was a moderately successful actress on a cable show, living the hustle, until she met a prince. And the second that royal ring slid on her finger, everything changed.
She got where she was because she slept with the spare and got knocked up. Let's be honest about it. I mean, that's, I guess that's one way to do it, but
the pathway to fame, fortune, and global influence, it didn't come from years of grinding in Hollywood or building an empire from scratch. Nope. It came from a whirlwind romance, a pregnancy, and a royal wedding that made the whole world stop and stare. But oh, it gets juicier. That same commentator didn't hold back. She accused Meghan of committing the ultimate feminist sin, using a man to climb the ladder. For someone who preaches about independence and empowerment, that's a brutal blow. The irony is so thick you could slice it with a tiara. Here's a woman who never stops talking about being a female founder, breaking barriers, and doing the work. But strip away the royal titles, the grand estates, and those glitzy photo ops, and people are asking what's left. And baby, Americans are asking that question louder than ever, while the silence from Montecito, deafening.
Don't sit here and call yourself a female founder when you married the money. And you married the prestige. You didn't build anything for yourself. You committed the greatest sin in your glorious Steinem feminism rulebook.
Oh, but wait, it gets even messier. Meghan recently tried to sell herself as this hardworking entrepreneur with that Instagram post set to Dolly Parton's 9 to 5. The anthem for every exhausted American hustling to make ends meet. She wanted the world to see her as relatable, as someone who's hustling and juggling projects like any other working mom, but instead, she triggered an absolute storm. Even her most loyal supporters were like, girl, no. And Americans aren't having it. They can spot a fake faster than a bad Botox job. Now let's talk about Meghan's favorite buzzword. Female founder, she drops it in interviews, bios, speeches, like it's a crown jewel of her identity. But everyone's finally asking, founder of what exactly? When you dig into it, oh honey, the whole story unravels. Remember the Tig? Her lifestyle blog? Cute idea. Did okay for a while, but the moment Harry entered the picture, poof, gone. Then came the big post-royal ventures, American Riviera Orchard, her Netflix and Spotify deals. But guess what? Every one of those happened because she was the Duchess of Sussex. That Netflix deal? It wasn't because she had groundbreaking creative ideas. It was because she had royal access. Period. And that's the brutal truth real entrepreneurs are seething about. The women who max out credit cards to start small businesses, who skip sleep to chase dreams, who fail, rebuild, and try again. Those are real female founders. Meghan? She skipped the line and called it empowerment. Even feminists are rolling their eyes, because using a man's power to build your own brand while preaching independence, that's not empowerment. That's hypocrisy wrapped in a designer dress. Let's be brutally honest for a second. The way Meghan's Hollywood career is retold today, girl, it's a fairy tale rewrite. If you listen to her biggest fans, you'd think she gave up a booming A-list career for love. But people in the industry, they're setting the record straight, and it's not pretty. Her biggest claim to fame was Suits. Yes, that legal drama on USA Network where she played paralegal Rachel Zane. Sure, it had a loyal fan base, but let's not kid ourselves. It wasn't Friends. It wasn't Grey's Anatomy. It wasn't even close to cultural phenomenon status. Insiders say Meghan was a working actress, hustling like thousands of others. Auditions, rejections, side gigs. Nothing wrong with that grind, but let's call it what it was. Steady, not superstar. And even before meeting Harry, sources say she was already plotting her next move. She knew acting had limits. She wanted a lifestyle pivot, the kind of pivot that could bring her brand deals and big partnerships. And then, Boom, she meets a prince. Suddenly, doors that were sealed shut start swinging wide open. That Netflix deal? Let's just say it didn't land in her inbox because casting directors were desperate for Rachel Zane. No, it came because she was half of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. People in Hollywood aren't fooled. They know the royal connection, not raw talent, is what lit her career rocket. That's not climbing your way up the ladder. That's being airlifted to the top. Now hold on to your teacups because this part is wild. Word on the street says Meghan actually tried comparing her and Harry's Netflix partnership to the Obamas. Yes, those Obamas. Can you imagine? Comparing herself to Barack and Michelle, two people who literally define service, leadership, and education. Because they also have a Netflix deal? Girl, please, let's break it down. Barack Obama was the 44th president of the United States. Michelle Obama, Princeton and Harvard Law graduate, successful attorney, advocate, community leader, a woman who earned every ounce of her influence. Now, Meghan and Harry's credentials? A prince who was born royal and an actress from a cable show. Their Netflix projects were supposed to be groundbreaking, but what did we get? A docu-series mostly about them. The Obamas produce substance. Meghan and Harry produce self-focus. And Americans are seeing the difference clear as day. It's not jealousy, it's about credibility. The Obamas built theirs brick by brick. Meghan married hers, then tried to remodel it into a brand, and Americans are laughing because, girl, the comparison isn't even in the same galaxy. Now let's talk about something that screams insecurity. Meghan's decision to turn off comments on her Instagram. She claims it's to protect her supporters from negativity. Sounds noble, right? Except nobody's buying it. Social media analysts are saying what everyone's thinking. Meghan doesn't want to see the negativity, period. It's not about protection, it's about control. She wants a bubble of constant praise, a digital echo chamber where every comment says, "Queen Meghan, we love you." But here's the thing, every public figure gets hate. Politicians, actors, athletes, they all deal with criticism. It's part of the deal. You can't have the spotlight without the shadows. By turning off comments, Meghan is basically saying she can't handle the heat, and that's not empowerment. That's fragility disguised as self-care. It's ironic, isn't it? She talks endlessly about authenticity, about real conversations, but when the real talk starts, she shuts it down. That's not authenticity, that's censorship with a smile. And Americans see right through it. Because nothing says I can't handle criticism louder than a comment section that's been wiped clean. Okay, now this next one, it had everyone rolling their eyes. Meghan showed up as the guest of honor at this fancy women-only vegan dinner called A Seat at the Table. Sounds empowering, right? Until you hear what actually went down. The evening was dripping in luxury. High-end vegan wine, elite chefs, and speeches about saving the planet through regenerative food. One chef even declared that giving up meat and dairy was the only way future generations will have food. And there was Meghan, sitting there nodding along like she's leading a revolution. But Americans weren't having it, because let's get real. It's easy to preach about organic veganism when you live in a mansion with a private chef and unlimited grocery budgets. It's not activism, it's elitism served on a silver platter. Working class moms don't have the luxury to drop $15 on a bag of kale. People are out here counting pennies, trying to stretch a $50 grocery budget for the week. Meghan's food for the future talk just doesn't land when she's never had to choose between buying milk or paying rent. Social media went wild. Parents posting receipts, showing their grocery costs, saying, "This is my reality, Meghan." The backlash was brutal, because Americans hate being lectured by people who've never lived their struggle. That dinner wasn't empowerment, it was performance. And the audience? Over it. Here's the real plot twist. For years, British tabloids got slammed for being too harsh on Meghan. She played the victim card perfectly, the poor Duchess bullied by the cruel UK press. But now, the tables have turned. The American media, her home turf, her safe space, is going in harder than ever before. The same outlets that once crowned her Hollywood's royal rebel are now writing think pieces titled, "What Does Meghan Actually Do?" The tone has shifted from sympathy to skepticism. Why? Because Americans value authenticity. They love an underdog who fights their way up, but they can't stand someone pretending to be self-made when everything they have came from privilege. The British press used to get blamed for bias, but now the US press, her own people, are saying the same things. And that's what's cutting the deepest, because when your own country stops clapping, it's over. And here's where the story hits its climax: Netflix. Remember that massive $100 million deal Meghan and Harry signed? The one that was supposed to redefine storytelling and uplift voices? Yeah, well, insiders say Netflix is basically done with them. The big budget plans fizzled. The projects that did get released flopped or barely made noise. Executives were expecting bold content, something royal, revealing, riveting. But what they got plot was a couple obsessed with image control, demanding full say over every frame. The result? Mediocre content and poor ratings. One insider even spilled that Netflix felt the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. Ouch. So what did Meghan do? Classic PR move? Spin it. Suddenly she's pivoting away from Netflix to explore new creative opportunities. Girl, please. Americans invented PR spin. They know a breakup when they see one. Meanwhile, the comparison to the Obamas just keeps haunting her. Their Netflix company, Higher Ground, won awards. Their films inspired millions. Meghan and Harry produced drama about themselves. The difference couldn't be clearer. The Obamas build, Meghan brands. And now, the real tea. Meghan's entire empire, her entire post-royal identity, rests on one thing: Harry's title. Take away Duchess of Sussex and what's left? No royal glow, no tiara mystique, just a former cable actress trying to sell jam and self-help mantras. Every opportunity, every deal, every appearance, every headline traces right back to the royal connection she claims to hate. The Netflix deal? Because she was royal. The speeches? Because she was royal. The endless interviews about finding freedom? All because she was royal. And that's the final irony. She built her brand criticizing the system that made her famous. Without it, there's no spotlight. Americans are finally saying it out loud. Meghan didn't build an empire. She married into one and is still cashing the checks. It's not female empowerment, it's strategic positioning. It's not founding a brand, it's rebranding herself. The performance is cracking and the audience isn't clapping anymore. So here we are. The fairy tale that once sparkled has lost its shine. Americans, and who once adored the story of the girl who became a duchess, are now rolling their eyes. They see the contradictions, the privilege, the spin. They see a woman who had the world's sympathy and squandered it on self-promotion. And now, as even her biggest supporters start questioning her narrative, one question remains. When the royal glow fades, when the titles lose their charm, what's Meghan Markle really got left? Because, honey, the crown may be gone, but the gossip? Oh, that's just getting started.